Building a cube is one of the most rewarding experiences one can have in Magic. It's an incredibly fun to play if you enjoy Draft or Sealed. Many of my friends play Magic and I wanted to construct something that my friends and I could sit down and just enjoy together without it feeling like a repetitive experience. Playing our best decks against each other again and again was getting stale, and I was worried about my friends' different skill levels in Magic, so I wanted to create a cube that everyone could draft from and get the same enjoyment. There were a few limiting factors when it came to building my cube. First, price. I'm not made of money, nor do I have enough high dollar impact cards in my collection to include for all colors equally, so this cube will be a bit more of a budget cube. To save me money, I wanted to use cards I already had or cards that have been reprinted a few times so that it would be cheap to acquire. A few of the dual decks were great for this. There were many usable elements in it for a few of the tribes, such as Elves versus Inventors and Goblins versus Merfolk. While I could not be using all of the cards in the dual decks, there were many cards there that were usable, so that was an important part to me. Before the 7-hour stream, I decided that a small tribal cube would be the best for my needs. I think having that target flavor made this process slightly easier. Tribes are easy to understand. There is decent overlap when looking at the main tribes in Magic. I tried to really focus on the cards that had a few different archetypes so that there was significant flexibility in maintaining a novice to intermediate skill level. So finding cards that said Elves and Warrior or Zombie and Wizard were a must. Another focus was to make sure many tribes were supported, more tribes than the number of players even. I wanted to force players into 2 tribes. This would help players see draft tension. If I had 5 players of 5 tribes and each one stuck to their own tribe, then the draft would be incredibly flat and the gameplay would be flavorless. Also, forcing the tribes into multiple colors is really important. In the multiple test drafts, I found having 2 or even 3 color tribe spread was very helpful when, if there were no cards of your tribe in the pack, there were at least cards of a playable color in most scenarios. Obviously, in draft there will be times when you are forced to take a card you have zero interest in playing, but I did my best to ensure that there were many options. Artifacts and lords are crucial to a tribal cube. Often the lords themselves would make great finishers. Cards like Krenko Mob Boss, Azuri Renegade Leader, and Grave Titan would be the needed piece in the tribe to pull ahead in terms of board presence and pressure. I tried to include Pursuit board wipe pieces without including too many bombs so that there would be top deck victories without the "we are exchanging blows with 1/1s because we killed everything else" experiences. Cards like Archangel Avacyn, Engineered Plague, and Selin Vada the Rising Deep would be good answers for clearing out the tokens and 1-2 drop creatures, something very common in games with strong tribe presence. Speaking of tokens, I felt the need to include engines for token production in many forms. I've already mentioned Krenko and Grave Titan. Other engines of production include Endless Ranks of the Dead, Anointed Procession, Parallel Lives, Verdant Force, Mirror Matrix, and even Thropter Assembly. These engines apply a lot of pressure on the board, and if left unchecked, maybe even can take over a game. In the background, a few times you can see me pull up deck lists and other cubes to cheat off of a little bit. I would consider myself an intermediate player, however I was struggling to find good fill for some of the missing tribes. I think it particularly shows in my red and white combos. I feel like the aspect should be a little bit stronger considering there's nice overlap of warriors in these 2 colors, but I feel the combination fell a little flat when I was test drafting. The beauty of the cube, however, is the flexibility I have in swapping out cards. I also believe I tried to force pirates a little too much. I don't know, I thought it could be interesting flavor, but when it got to drafting, they just seemed like the leftover trash that no one wanted. So again, that's the beauty of the cube. I pulled them out, and I think I used some better fungus and thalid creatures. You'll live and you'll learn. I think the next step is going to be getting rid of the duplicate signets. Originally, when building the cube, I loved the idea of the mana rocks, but when you realize that 20 of the card slots are occupied by signets, I think that's a little much. 20 slots is like 5% of the cube. That's kind of insane. And I wanted to be sure that there was enough mana fix, but that's probably something more for after the playtest. This will be an active project of mine, and I do intend on, at some point when this is all put together, playing this and recording videos of the matches just so you guys can see the final product. The link to the Cube Tutor is going to be in the description, so if you are interested in the cube, there's that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you are interested in following the cube progress, make sure you subscribe and follow my stream. All edits will be done on my stream. Thanks guys, if you made it this far, peace, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the time lapse.